Hi there, my name is Bobby Scharmann. I am Associate Principal Bass with the Omaha Symphony, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about just some basic setup and maintenance items that you can do for your basses and maybe save them a trip to the repair shop. So one of the first things that we're thinking about is the bass is extremely large, door frames are small, accidents happen, and so I feel like bass is one of the more accident-prone instruments that you see in an orchestra, so naturally they're going to get the most dings and scratches. But one of the things we're going to start by thinking about is just looking at anywhere that we've got two pieces of wood that glue together. So that's going to be where the back meets the sides, where the sides meet the top, and I'm just going to go over all the way around. We've got the bass on the table so that we can see all the way down to the bottom very clearly. We can turn the bass over to the other side and look at the other side. And we're just looking to see if there's any places where those two pieces of wood have opened up. We call that an open seam. The other thing you were going to look for is if there are any cracks on the bass that have been previously repaired, just double checking that they're still nice and closed. And so if we verified that, another thing that I'm going to go ahead and turn the bass on its back now. Other places we want to look are looking at the neck joint, making sure everything's nice and glued in tight there. Looking at the fingerboard, making sure that hasn't started to warp off. And generally just making sure everything looks good. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is what I think is probably the biggest point of failure, the easiest place where something can go wrong, which is the bridge. Bass is under a lot of tension, and this is the part that sticks out. So this is the part that's more liable to be bumped into door frames and whatnot. And so what you want to check every once in a while on your basses is just checking that the bridge is sitting nice and straight. Oftentimes, if it gets a bump or something like that and it goes off axis, over time what the tension of the strings will actually do is warp the shape of that bridge, and you'll sometimes see basses with bridges that look like this, and those generally warrant a replacement at that point. But if the bridge is nice and straight, we want to take a look at the bridge feet. The ideal place for the bridge feet to be is going to be centered on the inside notches on the F-holes. And so let's say just for demonstration purposes that I need to move this bridge. It's not quite straight, the feet aren't quite sitting flat, and they're a little off from the center. So we're going to go ahead and loosen the strings down about 4 or 5 turns. So we take a little bit of the tension off the instrument. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to very, very carefully and slowly, let's say we needed to move the bridge this way, we're going to walk the bridge feet a little bit at a time until they are set, looking good, nice and straight, and you can double check that with a ruler and just verify that the feet are nice and lined up, they're straight, they're flat, and you can also double check the straightness of the bridge with that same ruler. Now, sometimes you may find that even by loosening the strings 4 or 5 turns, there may still be a little bit of tension on the top that's preventing you from making those adjustments. So if you find it necessary, you can actually remove the low string and the G string. There will still be enough tension on the top with the A and the D strings to keep the bridge in place, and you can make your adjustments from there. And then once you're all done with your adjustments, everything looks good, tune the bass back up, and if there was something wrong with it, it'll probably sound a little bit better than it was when you started. Now, if you notice a crack in the bass, anything that looks super abnormal, if you're not super comfortable with it, definitely consult a luthier and let them talk to you about the best course of action. One other thing I want to talk about with the bridge is the bridge directly controls the height of the strings. Now, on all of your upper string instruments, this is going to be just a piece of wood that's cut and carved to fit the instrument. Basses vary so much in shape and size that ideally we want what are called adjustable bridges. And adjustable bridges are exactly what they sound like. These little dials will be able to raise or lower the height of the strings. And sometimes what I'll see when I go into public schools is we'll see a non-adjustable bass bridge that is a mismatch for the instrument, and so a lot of times the strings will be way high off the fingerboard. It's actually really, really difficult for me to play, let alone a 13-year-old. And so when I see something like that, usually I'll recommend to the teacher, if it's possible, to source an adjustable bridge and have it carved for the instrument. That's going to make the playing experience that much better for the student, and they're likely to continue and have more fun with it in the future.